Hi everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach and welcome to Confessions of a Domestic Engineer. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about pounding, we're going to be talking about hitting, we're going to be talking about slapping, we're going to be talking about making them skins sing, baby. I am talking about my drum set. Roll it! So, what we are watching here is me dismantling my drum set. I am dismantling it so I can reposition everything, get it set up in a way that is easier for me to play. Also, we are replacing the windows in the house, most likely in December, if everything goes well, fingers crossed. So I have to be able to take them easily out of the window area to move them out of the way for the guys when they come and do this stuff, right? So I have to make it more convenient and accessible and quicker to take down for me next month. And put back up afterwards. That's always the hardest part, putting it back up afterwards. Now, this video footage is all shot at 4 times the speed, and you can hear audio in the background. That audio in the background is a sneak preview of music to come for reviews. Those are my son and his girlfriend. Those are the ones that live in my basement. It's Sunday. They're getting ready for Sunday football. I basically get the house to myself. They stay in the basement, do their thing. Tracy goes over to her family's and hangs out with them for the day. I'm a hermit. And Sean and Drew are both at work. So I get the house to myself. It's me time. Now, you're going to notice that there are going to be some points where the video footage looks like it significantly jumps. You're going to notice it while I'm doing this here because there's a point where it goes from the toms partly being put together to all of a sudden the toms are fully put together. The reason that happens is my GoPro sucks. I have the GoPro 8 and I've had nothing but problems with it since day one. One of the problems I have with it is after about 15 minutes, my older GoPros would just keep recording and they would create a new piece of file and go from there. For some stupid reason, this one glitches and it just duplicates the same file twice instead of continuing the footage on. So if I'm not paying attention, I lose out on footage. So I can't shoot usually more than 10-15 minutes at the most consecutively with it without having this problem. What are you going to do? But anyways, I'm setting up the toms here, and guess I should talk about the toms a little bit. So, when I finish putting the kit back together, I've got a total of 6 toms on there. An 8-inch, 10-inch, a 12-inch, 2 13s. One of the 13s has a depth of 10 inches. The other 13 has a depth of 11 inches. Obviously, I do get a different sound, and they are tuned, so they get a different sound. And then I've got a 16-inch floor tom. Now, the 13-inch tom with the 10-inch depth, that actually was originally meant as a small floor tom. I have never used it as a small floor tom since the day I bought it. It doesn't work properly, it doesn't fit properly in the kit. It works better as a mounted tom. I had to buy some special parts to get it to adapt just the way I want it, but it was worth it. All my toms, you'll notice they all have black skins on them. Those are, and I don't want to give any, this is not promos or anything like that, but they're Onyx skins. They're made by Evans. I buy them because of how deep and dark they sound. I really like the heavy woof kind of sound that they give when I hit them. Which goes with the mallets I had in my hand there. Those are Headhunter foam mallet tips. I love them. Oh my god, they are the greatest ever. They add so much more thunder and power when you're hitting toms and the toms on the snare. And when you hit the cymbals, they pull some of the punch out of it, you know, instead of getting that sharpness you get with a normal cymbal crack, which you can get with just hitting the edge of the stick instead. If you hit it just with the ball, you get more of a rumble and thunder almost out of it, you know. It helps disperse the sound a little bit. But yeah, that's what I'm using on there. And then my snare is not a Westbury. The whole drum set is Westbury except for my snare. My snare is a Mapex snare, and it's the Mapex Fat Bomb. It's 14 inches wide and 8 inches deep. It is one of the deepest snares you can buy. It's basically playing on a tom, except for if a tom had snares on it. And yes, I do love using it that way. It is great. And I'll turn the snare off and use it as an extra tom sometimes, just get that extra little fun out of it. It's great. The rack mount that you see that I am building, that is a Yamaha rack mount. Everything going on here except for my cymbals. My cymbals are all bought, like I bought them brand new. Every one of my cymbals, they're mine, purchased brand new. Everything else, believe it or not, is secondhand purchases that I picked up. The Yamaha rack, it was their first gen hex rack. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I really wish they'd go back to manufacturing it again, because I need more parts. The parts are very, very hard to come by now. You can still find them in some places, but they are hard to come by, and for what I want to do, I need quite a bit. The smoke coming off of my drum stool, that is from a little white widow that I was enjoying, because in Canada it is totally 100% legal. I can grow 4 plants on my property, which I did. If you watch any of my gardening episodes, you will have seen it growing in the background. Well, this is me enjoying the fruits of my labor while I'm rebuilding the drum set. When I do the drum set, as you can see, I build it really close to the wall there. So I always start from the right and build it to the left. And that includes the cymbals as well. I start with the floor tom, because the floor tom has to have just the right space, right angle, blah, blah, blah. And then I work from there out, taking up the necessary space. And with the cymbals, it's the same thing. I only have so much space to work with. Now, you're thinking that if I didn't have that toolbox there and the light there, I could probably fit that ride over a little more. I honestly can't. There's not a lot of room there. And I try to leave stuff so I don't have to move my arm too far back or too far to the right. Due to years of playing drums and working at for a company that absolutely refused to update their equipment, so it caused repetitive wear and tear on my shoulder, it just doesn't move so great anymore. And, when you get up in your 40s, it just doesn't move so great anymore. So I try and keep everything where it's more easily accessible. Now, I'll get into the cymbals as I'm putting them out here. The big ride that I put down there, that is a 22-inch Monarch. Now, all the cymbals that I am putting out, except for the hi-hat, are all Sabian. Every last one of them. And the reason they're all Sabian is a Canadian brand, made in Canada. I support made in Canada, etc., etc. So I use Sabian for that reason. I also buy them because I like the sound of them. Sabian, I was a Zildjian guy, big time. I was a big time Zildjian guy for probably about the first 10 years of my drum playing. And then I realized Zildjian, or at least in the stores I was going to, Zildjian wasn't releasing as many dynamic cymbals as Sabian was. And I ended up switching over to Sabian because I can get much more dynamic sounds out of it. Like the Monarch, for example, I specifically went out of my way while I was up in Toronto to go to a store to pick that one up. I wasn't going up to Toronto specifically to buy this, but I would have gone up to Toronto specifically to buy this. It's a beautiful cymbal. It's so dark and deep and rich, and I absolutely love the sound that it generates when I'm playing on it. If I hit it with regular drumsticks, I get this great dark ring out of it. If I go with mallets, I get this almost rumble vibrating ring out of it. It's beautiful. One of the greatest cymbals I have ever bought. And once again, this is not a plug. I'm not being sponsored. If any of these companies want to sponsor me, hell yeah, bring on the sponsorship, but I'm not getting sponsored, so I just can talk about my experiences here and why I bought what I bought. Just above the Monarch is a 19-inch explosion crash. It's an AAX. I put that one there in that position specifically because I actually like to use it as a ride as well. It has this great sound when being used as a ride if you use it just right, just perfectly. Not quite totally deep and dark, but this great middle area kind of ride. And it's great to have that symbol there too, you know, just because explosion is not a cute name. They explode, which is the other reason why that particular one I don't hit it too often as an actual crash. It, like I said, for me it's much more of a ride because when it explodes, it explodes. Next to that, let's see, I fell behind here. So I'm going to do the bells real fast. There's a 9-inch alu bell, a 7-inch alu bell. Those are the silver aluminum looking ones. And then the 7-inch stage bell. I like those for jamming. I like having them. Realistically, if I could get a good set of bells, like xylophone bells, to put on here, just so I could hit them while I'm jamming, I would. It'd be awesome. That's what I use those for most of the time. Alright, so I talked about the explosion. Next to the explosion, so the one that I'm not... The explosion is the one I'm tinkering with right now. The one that's next to that on the right. That is an 18-inch ISO crash, whichever way you want to say it. I say ISO crash. I absolutely love that one. It has this cool kick-ass sound in it. This is one of those cymbals that has the holes drilled into it, and the holes in this one are put in just off of the bell. And also, speaking of the bell on these, they got this really cool kind of dirty bell. Like they're just kind of hammered in dents almost into it. Really cool sound when you just sit there and kind of ride off that bell a little bit, you know. Really nice. But the ISOs, because I've got two, and they're the only two I put directly next to each other. That's the 18-inch ISO and the 16-inch ISO. Those are fantastic. Now, my back is in the way, so you can't really see anything at the moment properly. I do apologize for that. What you're missing is me putting in, my 20-inch Pro Ride. The 20-inch Pro Ride I put in the middle. It sits above my, I think it's either above my 12 and 13 or it's above my two 13s. No, it's above my 12 and my 13. That's what it is. And I like to have it in the middle so I can just kind of ride in the middle. It gives the arm a break. That's a good part of it. The other one is I don't need all my rides in one spot. I like to space them out because that way I can play more with more flex and movement. You know, depending on what cymbals I hit, you know, stuff like that. Also, with that particular ride, I only ever use the edge of it. It's a good ride, you know, it's 20-inch Pro Ride, as I said. It's a good ride, but it's not my first choice of rides. But my first choice of rides would be, you know, a lot more expensive. I don't make enough money drumming right now. And, you know, once again, though, if, say, Sabian would like to sponsor me and sponsor me by just sending me free cymbals to try out, bring it on. Send them. I will definitely try them out. Try them out with glory. Anyways, then there's a 16-inch Studio Crash. I like the Studio Crash. It has a great sound. I don't like it live, though. Studio Crash is a great name for it because it sounds great when I'm recording in the house kind of thing and I'm working like that. Great sound, picks up beautifully on microphones. When I'm out playing live, I don't hit it as much because it really doesn't seem to carry as well. It really seems to be kind of a short wave kind of cymbal, you know, short carry space. And when I play most of the time live, I'm not in a place where I really have to mic the cymbals to play live. Then there's a 16-inch Explosion Crash. I use that one definitely as a cymbal. The Explosion Crash is killer. Right now, you can see I'm playing off of the Ride, which is the one, you know, just above the... it is the 12 and the 13. I can see it there now that I'm out of the way. Right above that would be the Studio Crash, and then the one just to that right of that would have been the Explosion Crash. Fantastic. Those three together, they give me so much play space in there, and that's before I put in the splashes, which is what I'm working on next here. The studio crash, the explosion crash, mixed with my 3 splash cymbals. Well, 2 of my 3 splash cymbals. I have a 10-inch air splash, a regular 10-inch splash, and then an 8-inch splash. The 8-inch splash I don't use too much. I use it just here and there because it really is a small cymbal. It really just is for the effect of having a small little kind of splash in there. You know, that's all you get out of it. You get a small splash. If you think of it as a puddle going into water, or, you know, a rock or whatever going into a puddle, sorry, and making a splash. Think of the 8-inch splash as dropping, you know, a rock the size of my fist and it goes splash, you know. Then you take a rock the size of my head, we'll say that's the 10-inch, drop that, it goes ploosh, you know. You really notice a difference. So I don't use the 8 often, it's mainly the 10 that I use. And I think at this second, I'm not even doing the splashes. What am I doing here? Oh, there, yeah, I am getting the splashes. Sorry. Yeah, I was getting the splashes out and everything. There are some other splashes out there I really do like. Zildjian actually makes one that's really cool, the trash splash. If I can get my hands on a good, used, cheap Sabian 10-inch splash, I'm going to actually make my own trash splash. It's basically been, it's a cymbal that's been heated up and warped, so it has this great trashy sound, you know, that's the best way to describe it. I'm all for customizing cymbals. I don't think Sabian has a trash splash, at least not one that I've seen. But Sabian's variety of cymbals are just astounding. Like, there are so many cymbals out there I love to put on this drum set, or have to switch in and out of this drum set, because there's just such a great variety. And I personally love cymbals, and I know how to use them properly. And you use them as the accents they are, and you play them as the accents they are, you can get some amazing sounds out of your drum kit. You know, and you're not going to get a proper reflection in it of those sounds in this recording, and the reason you're not is it's at 4 times the speed, and you got the music in the background going as well. And sure, you can't hear the music in the background clearly, but that doesn't matter. The other thing that was going on there that I don't know if you noticed or not, when I put down the last splash, and that was the 6-inch, or the 8-inch, sorry, I put down last. The 8-inch splash, I didn't have a proper screw top for it. I had to go finding another foam pad and screw tops because I'm always losing them. I have bought so many over the years, and I've lost so many. I even had a collection of them at one time. I've gone through my whole collection of them. But I'm always, you know, reusing, mixing, matching, adjusting pieces, stuff like that. That's the joy of being, you know, a drummer. The other thing, too, with my drum set, I will tell you right now, if it was not for my love of things like constructs, tinker toys, Lego doesn't apply so much with this one. It's definitely constructs and tinker toys. I love building toy stuff, you know. As a kid, Lego, obviously, I still love Lego to this day. Constructs was fantastic. It's one that I really wish I could find. I loved building with constructs. You just can't find it as you could back then. Meccano, also, I didn't do a lot of Meccano. For some reason, I just never quite got into it the same way. Meccano definitely would be involved in this as well. And, you know, now it's just about taking the drum set for a whirl. I put the hi-hat in there. One thing you can't see with the hi-hat is actually on a remote trigger. The reason my hi-hat is on a remote trigger is I actually prefer using my right foot on the hi-hat as opposed to my left foot. I'm right-handed. Right-handed drummers usually use their left foot to operate the hi-hat. I prefer, if I'm using the hi-hat that way where I'm doing the up and downs on it, or doing dynamic stuff, I actually prefer to use my right foot. I find I get a little more control with my right foot than I do with my left foot for the dynamic stuff, because I'm better with the toe pressure on the right. My left leg, on the other hand, just keep the rhythm fine with the bass drum going, you know, right? So that's that. The last thing I put in there, it's a, and the hi-hat is 14-inch, what are they? 14-inch Paste PST7 hi-hats. It's the only set of cymbals on the kit that are not Sabian. I did have Sabian hi-hats, but I don't like the sound of them. I never did, and the set that I do want to get from Sabian, it's a little more than I want to fork out right now. Or, well, I'll probably, when I start playing again, get the band back up and running again and whatnot, I would invest in them. But right now, these ones work fine. And the China, I actually had flipped upside down, so I don't have the exact size on the China. I think it's a 20. I don't mind this China. It's not the China I want. The China I want costs like $400. So I haven't been able to get it yet. I can't justify at this time buying that. And then I get into my wood blocks. The wood blocks, I've only got the 3 right now. I actually plan on trying to get the full color assortment of those wood blocks because each one has its own sound. I really do like using them. I know they're not real wood blocks. I'd love to get real wood blocks too, but those are just, expensive and whatnot. The big purple one also has the ability to do the rain frog sound, that which is really cool. That's why I bought that one specifically, because I ran across that one by fluke. Great. Now I'm trying to mount the tambourine in there, and the tambourine, I was going to mount it using a pearl mounting piece, but that pearl mounting piece is actually meant for the pearl toms to mount onto the bass drum as an extra mount or whatnot. And it doesn't fit any of my drums. Or the one drum that does use it, doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the tambourine. It's the peg on it is just that much too wide that it doesn't fit anything quite properly. So unfortunately, after I bought it, I discovered I really couldn't use it the way I wanted to. I can put a couple things on it, but not as much as I want. And then, here we go. Putting in the cowbells. For all of you people that like to make the more cowbell joke, here you go. More cowbell, not just one cowbell, but there's actually 2 cowbells on there. If you look real closely and at quick glimpses, you can see it pop up on the screen. Give me a second to get a quick drink of water here, sorry. And then here's a slow pan of everything put together. Or almost everything. The one thing that it does not show on here is my chimes. The pole was there for the chimes, but I hadn't put the actual chimes on yet. They're up there now. Let's just a quick look at everything. And I think I go through it one more time. That there with the blue, that's the pedal for my hi-hat. Speaking of it being a remote, here we go. And this is one more time coming up. There we go. Now that pole you can see between the 2 cymbals on the end there, that's actually where the chimes sit. That's where they go. So, I hope you have enjoyed this story of the drum set, me rebuilding it. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I hope I gave you some information that you liked out of it. Anyways, leave me your comments. Let me know what you think. If you are Sabian and you want to contact me about some type of sponsorship, please definitely leave me a comment and we'll get in contact. If you are Mapex, because Canadian drums, any Canadian drum manufacturer, you want to sponsor me for drums? Hey, we'll do the drums. Other than that, folks, okay, comment section, I'm done trying to solicit freebies. Comment section, like button, subscribe button. Otherwise, peace, love, take care.